Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarina Fazan, and welcome to On the Record. Today, we are talking about America's favorite national pastime, Major League Baseball. It was scary for a bit, right, with the breakdown in negotiations, but the game is back in full force. And here to talk about the importance of baseball, the importance of having a good baseball coach, and the realities of actually becoming a professional athlete, two very special guests today. We have coach of Tampa's King High School, Jim Macaluso. Hello, Jim.
Hi.
Nice to see you, Coach. And former pro player and now agent, and you were also a coach, Reggie Jefferson. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Okay, why are we being quiet all of a sudden? Like before the show started, you guys were like talking away. Okay, let's start with a little bit of history. Reggie, why don't we start with you? Tell us a bit about yourself. I just gave, a brief description.
I think, like you said, baseball has been a big part of my life. I mean, I'm originally from Tallahassee, Florida, was drafted out of high school and started my career with Cincinnati at the time when they actually trained here in Tampa. Worked my way up to the majors and immediately got traded to Cleveland. So spent 3 years in the big leagues with Cleveland, a year in Seattle and 5 in Boston. I think Boston is probably where most people that can remember that far back to me playing. They remember me playing there and settled here in Tampa over 20 years ago and have made this my home, raised my family here, and fortunate enough to still stay in the game. Like you said, now I'm an agent. And love it because it really keeps me involved in the game that I love. I get to help young men who are trying to chase that dream that I was fortunate enough to fulfill. So that keeps me busy, more than busy.
I can imagine. I can imagine. When you do a Google search on you, it is funny though because Boston is the first team that comes up, even though that wasn't your first team. It's just interesting. Yeah. So, Coach, oh my God, I mean, you start talking about your career. Wow.
Well, first of all, I was born and raised here in Tampa. I attended King High School, played sports there, and now I've been working there 47 years as their baseball coach.
47 years, guys. 47 years. Wow.
I've enjoyed every minute of it. I would do it again. Just great people, great families, great players, great administration. The community has supported me, and
you love it.
I love it.
Okay, so Coach, I have to ask you this, and Reggie. So, Tampa is a very competitive city when it comes to baseball, and we get a lot of pro players that come out of here. Some have said that King High School has churned out more professional baseball players than any other high school in Tampa. I know there's a lot of debate about that, but what do you say about it, Coach?
No, we're really not. I believe it's Jefferson. I believe it's Jefferson. Mm-hmm. Plant has had their share too, especially in recent years, and those programs have done a great job. But I think, not to correct you because that's what you heard.
No, I mean, this is listen, people have, that's why I love the show. It's unedited, unscripted.
Right.
I'm just asking the question that people have, asked me.
I think what we've done here in Tampa for the size of our city and our county, we have turned out more professional baseball players, not just the minor league players that have made it to the big leagues than anywhere in the country for an area the size of Tampa.
That is so interesting.
And that's fact.
So, Reggie, why is that, do you think?
Oh, I just think that it's just a long history of baseball. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, an area this size, baseball is very popular in the state of Florida. And the coaches, I think, started at a young level of really teaching the kids well. They play it year round. And it's just produced some really great players. I remember before I even moved to Tampa, you heard about guys like Gary Sheffield or Fred McGriff. Wade Boggs was from Tampa. You just heard it, and it just permeated throughout, the minor leagues once I got out, that Tampa was a hotbed for baseball, and it's just continued to grow. I think other areas are trying to catch up to Tampa, but Tampa's still just known for its baseball history. It's great.
So let me ask you this, and I want to talk about the kids and about coaching kids, but speaking of baseball, let's go to the pros for just a bit, and let's talk about Tampa. Brian Auld, the president of the Rays, was on with his wife, Love in America. It was pretty scary, though, earlier in the season when the negotiations were breaking down. I mean, how much does that affect? It is such a pastime for so many people. I mean, what does that do to the public when things like that happen?
I'm a baseball guy. And I want to talk myself into that it hasn't hurt the game. But I think, what is this, 3 stoppages now, 4 over the last 20 years? So I think it has hurt the game a little bit. I think the true fan, hardcore come back. But the young people, that's what worries me, that you're losing them because they look up and they go, hey, I can go do something else. I don't need baseball. So,
yeah, no doubt. And I think from, on my side of it too, you want, the players have worked hard, they're ready to go, and now there's a work stoppage. And so you just hope that the game would get going because, again, like Coach says, it's very important. You have a fan base, people get ready for spring training. You had people coming down for spring training, and it wasn't going on yet. So it causes it's a ripple effect throughout the whole entire industry. People want the game to start. But I do have to say the season's going now, and someone who follows it every day like I do, it's off to a great start. I mean, there's some players putting up great numbers. And it's just fun. People are at the ballpark. Watch games and the stadiums are packed. I think the Rays this weekend, 2 of the games with the Yankees were sold out.
Right. Which is great. So great to hear, right? I mean, so wonderful to hear. Do you feel baseball too is more affordable for families? Like, you look at and no offense, right, I love the NFL. I love the NFL, but you go to some of those games and they can be very expensive. Do you feel that part of the allure for baseball is that it can be an affordable sport for a family?
I think so. I think of all the big sports that definitely you can go, and if you need to sit in the outfield and just have a hot dog and enjoy the game, you can do that. Where a lot of the sports, all the tickets are more or less priced the same. Right. You either do that or you don't go. So baseball gives you those options a little bit to sit in the upper deck or whatever, which is nothing wrong with that. But I think yes, definitely.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I think that because there's so many games in a season, and it's fine for the stadium not to be full, and people can go sit in the outfield, like Coach saying, and just sit back and relax. I think we're hearing a lot about people saying, well, the game is too long, or they need to do things to speed up the game, and I don't agree with that as much because I think it's a leisurely game. You go because you want to sit back and drink a beer and eat your popcorn, watch the game. Now, all the pitching changes, that'll happen in a game can get on your nerves if you really watch the game. But I think the game is meant to be played at a pace so that you can second guess every move, whether they should have left this pitcher in or if this guy should hit. And I think people are missing that, trying to keep it, they're saying, oh, we want it to be entertaining, which I think baseball is just an acquired taste. You got to learn the game and then you'll appreciate it.
Do you agree, Coach?
Yes,
Do you agree with that?
Definitely.
Right? Okay, so let me ask you, the perspective, right? Do you feel, and you were in the pros, Reggie, but do you feel like even with your star, high school players, is there added pressure on baseball players, or or any athlete, right, to the perception of athletes and being leaders in the community? How important is that, even starting at a young age?
I think things have happened the last 10, 12, 14 years that there is more pressure on young kids. And we were talking before we came on the air about travel ball and this and that. And like I've talked with Reggie in the lobby, I think there is definitely a place for agents and good agents. But a lot of times families start telling their kid, oh, we're already talking to an agent. They're a sophomore in high school. And a lot of times it's just, but that's more and more and more pressure on kids. And social media, there's just tons of things that have happened that have created the pressure more so than it was 15, 20 years ago.
Wow.
I mean, I remember coaching that until kids became a senior, they didn't even talk about pro ball or bonuses or agent. You just played because you loved the game. And it was a lot more fun for the coaches, the kids, and the parents.
Reggie, I would love your thoughts on this too, because when were you recruited? How old were you when you first were recruited?
I went to my first workout the summer before my senior year.
Wow. Okay.
A buddy of mine just told me, he goes, hey, the Cincinnati Reds are having a workout at FSU. I was in Tallahassee, and I said, hey, I'm going. I just rode with him. And I went up there and hit a couple of home runs and really caught the scout's eye. And that scout just followed me. All from that point on, that's how he found out about me. And he started coming to my games, and he stayed the the most excited scout about me as a pro, and like Coach said, you just never popped up. There was no travel ball
until like your senior year.
Yeah, until my senior year. And again, to his point, I think guys like me are one of the biggest problems of why this has changed. And social media. Yeah. Social media now, the players see what the other players are doing. They watch the videos, and it kind of gets to be competitive. So it's more pressure on the kids. And I think just like that, guys like me can see those videos and we go, oh God, I want to go see this kid that's in, Plant City or over in Orlando. And so I drive and see him, and I tell families all the time, when I first started as an agent, I didn't reach out to players until they were going into their senior year. Now you can't wait that long, or you won't be an agent. I love that he admits
this, though. This is class act that you're actually saying that we're part of the problem. Yeah. Well, I don't want to say problem, but you're part of this new
Everything
change.
is just sped up because of social media and the competitiveness of the parents. The parents are willing to invest in their kids getting out playing and doing these showcases, hiring a personal hitting coach or a personal pitching coach. They put the investment in. So if someone like me shows them attention, then it kind of validates what they're doing. And that's dangerous because not every player is going to be that high draft pick. And that's where the pressure gets into it. Yeah.
So when is it starting? Is it sophomore year, freshman year?
Oh, I think, that's a good, just because I deal with it every day. I literally now will tell people, if you know a really good player, don't think it's too early to tell me about him, which I never took that approach before. Wow. It's just never too early. Now, I will approach the family and I will say to them, I just would rather be too early than too late. I don't want to call you and you say, hey, Reggie, you should have called me. I've already talked to 15 agents. And I started having that happen to me with guys in 11th grade. I've already talked to that many agents. So now I'll reach out, but then I say, you guys drive the bus. If you don't want to talk, that's fine. I just want you to know who I am. And I kind of handle it that way. So I don't come off as just being super overbearing. But it's tough. And I know Coach is dealing with it, on his level where they've just kind of travel ball has taken over.
Coach, before we go to the break, and wow has been my word for this show so far, just speak to that for a moment, and then when we come back, we'll talk more about travel ball.
We were talking about a young man that we had a few years ago, our shortstop, who was drafted. And as a sophomore, I was locking up doing something, and I seen him talking to a gentleman. But, and you just got a feeling it wasn't a friend. It looked like, and I asked the dad, and I said, who is that? I won't name the gentleman. And he said, it's an agent. He wanted to talk to him.
And he was a sophomore.
And I said, he's a sophomore. He's got all kinds of pressures on him already. But in defense of agents, and I know Reggie and his group do a great job, if you handle it well, it's okay, because it is almost needed with everything that's going on in our world, starting with just educating them about finances and this and college. So it's needed, but there's some, Sarina, that are, again, I'd like to name some on air because I'd like to shut them down. No, because they're not, they just there to make money. I mean, they're so obvious. You can tell when they meet you, the questions they ask, it's not about the kid.
Well, hold that thought, because I would love to get advice for parents that might be watching, what to look out for. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us.
Your skin. What bothers you? What are you trying to improve on?
Sammy's getting some self-love thanks to the Dream Team. Those teen years are the perfect time to start.
It's good for giving them that boost of my skin looks great. It helps with the confidence, also helps kind of clean out their skin, their pores, give them that kind of jump start, so hopefully they start taking care of their skin before they get into the acne-prone age.
South Tampa Dermatology offers a number of options to keep your teen skin healthy and glowing.
So this is a light stimulating peel that is good for no downtime.
And getting facials with my 14-year-old is not just good for our skin, but a great way to spend time together.
Precision Garage Door, this is Sophia. How may I help you? It's the people who work here that make the difference.
That's what we're all here for, teamwork, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's why we're here for you today.
With one purpose.
If you need us, Precision is here for you.
To give their best to our customers.
We put out love and we get like 10 times back.
You get it coming back to you.
Yeah.
We work for you. So thank you, Tampa Bay, for year after year making Precision Garage Door a top workplace.
Label Swap is a retail store that you can bring in the items you don't want anymore. We will buy them for either a cash offer or store credit, and you can also shop the items as well. We carry anything from H&M, Lululemon, up to your luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. There's nothing really around like it here in the market. It is a fun, personalized experience.
Hi everyone, welcome back to On the Record. We are talking about America's favorite national pastime, baseball. Reggie Jefferson here, former pro player and now agent, and head coach Jim Macaluso of King High School. Thank you so much, Jim, for being here, Coach. And Reggie, so during the break, we're talking about kids and how kids are even being recruited earlier and earlier and earlier. What are some, so, you know, every parent hopes that their kid is the best, right? But how do you maybe, you know, coach the parents in saying how much you invest in your child?
Yeah, no, for me, I think it's, you know, we all kind of can see who has the talent. You know, even if you haven't played in the major leagues like me, when you go out, you can kind of see in a youth league, okay, this kid's a little different. And I think the parents just have to be honest, as the player gets older, does he still stand out? You know, is he still one of the better players? And I think that, again, that's what allows some of these travel ball guys or agents to get in, because the parents want that validation, because they want it really badly. So if someone's willing to tell you that your son's that guy, then, oh, you're all in. So what I just try to do in my business is be honest, you know, with people, and I'm always willing to talk. I mean, I get so many calls from guys that I'm not trying to represent their parents, and I'm willing to help, because I think people need that honesty, you know, and I think if you ask people about me, they say, hey, he's going to be honest if nothing else, because if, you know, you will go down the wrong road if you get people telling you that, hey, your son's going to be this, he's going to be that, or, you know, I get people calling thinking I can get their son drafted, and I can't, you know, and I'm honest with them. I said, that's not what I do. I'm going to give you the best advice on what you need to do, but I'm never going to try to tell you something that's not right.
So, Coach, I mean, what do you say to that? Because you are on the ground level with these kids.
We try to educate, as high school baseball coaches, the parents, but it's becoming really, really difficult. And again, Reggie just made a statement before I forget it, that a lot of times agents come in and contact parents, say, we can get your kid drafted. You come with our group. And there's no truth to that.
Yeah.
If they can't play, they can't play.
Stress that again. So there is no truth to that.
No, there's no truth to that. But parents buy in. A lot of times, you know, again, Reggie deals with these families. You just have one son. You go through it one time, and it's hard to learn everything. But again, showcases, and there's a place for them, don't get me wrong, but they sell it. You come here and there's going to be 50 scouts here this weekend. You're going to get exposure. I get so tired of hearing that word exposure. And again, I lean on Reggie. If you're hitting 180 at King High School the last 2 years, you can go to as many tournaments and get all the exposure you want, and they're just going to take your money and say, hey, thanks for coming this weekend. But there's so much bad things out there that parents hear all the time. Another form that messes parents' minds up, you've got hitting coaches and pitching coaches. Reggie mentioned it earlier. And you got physical fitness coaches when they're 8, 9 years old. And they do all these things, and they pay and they pay and they pay. But again, hitting coaches, and there's good ones out there again. They're just like agents. There's some good ones, but there's a lot of bad ones. And I know we get things on the high school level. A mom comes up and says, Coach, I need to talk to you. You got a minute? Sure. I don't understand why, you know, Johnny's hitting 8th. And I said, well, what's your question? She says, well, Mr. Jones, his hitting coach, said he should be hitting 3rd. And he's hit his lessons. He hits the ball all the time. And my question is, how many times has Mr. Jones come to one of our games and seen him face live pitching and not hitting it off the tee at his lesson? And they go, well, he gives lessons at night, he can't. But again, they're telling parents what they want to hear.
Yeah.
If you're paying me $50 for a half-hour lesson, you think I'm going to tell you you can't hit, don't come back anymore? No. You're going to say, hey, you're good. You should be starting. And those are just some of the problems, but it's changed so much,
Reggie, you talk about that. And again, I've been using this word wow so much because it's surprising to me too. Like when you were younger, did you have all these extra coaches as well?
No, not at all. Parents wouldn't have paid for it, but no, you just didn't. And it was the environment, and and we played, sports year-round, different sports, which again, as I got older, I saw baseball was where I would go the furthest, so I gravitated to it. But we didn't have hitting coaches. One thing I'm amazed about is you see these hitting facilities around town, and when I came along, those things couldn't survive because people just didn't spend the money, right?
Exactly.
And you'd see a guy open a facility, and then 6 months later, it's closed. Now they thrive because I think it's more kids can't get outside and do things, so parents have to get them in activities. Mm-hmm. So now parents are all in on the lessons and the training, but again, just getting the right person to work with your kid. I think that's the important thing.
But how do you find that right person? And are parents getting part-time jobs, additional part-time jobs to support paying for all this too? Have you seen that?
I think there's a little of that going on, depending on different areas around town. And the other thing too is if you can't afford to send your son to these things, that's a sad part too. That if he is a decent player, that's where he's going to get his exposure. And sometimes parents can't afford to do all these extra things.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So, Reggie, now, do you feel in order for a kid to be seen that they do have to partake in all these extra activities, or can you just play high school baseball and get noticed just playing on your high school team?
No, and that's one of the things that I'm probably most discouraged about. When I first became an agent, I would tell parents, no, you don't have to go to this event or that event. I don't want to say names, but just go out and play, and they'll find you. But now I have to honestly say they won't. I think unless you're just really off the charts. I mean, the scouting has become, they go where it's easy. Like Coach was saying. Rather than come to King one night and then go to Plant the next night or go to Jefferson the third night, they just say, well, we can go to this one event in Fort Myers and watch all the players in 2 days. And that's what it's come to. So if you're a family that can't go to Fort Myers or you can't go to Auburndale or play on one of these teams, you're in trouble. So what you try to do is, again, get with coaches that maybe refer you to a team, but then you better be really good because then that coach of one of these teams may kind of scholarship you in to come play with them. So it makes it tough. Wow. And that's why baseball has some of the problems it has, because it's almost, I always say it's become a country club sport as opposed to when we came up, it was just a baseball game. You went out and played for Babe Ruth baseball or, or Post 13 in Tallahassee is what we had, now it's travel ball, and you got to be on a travel ball organization and go into the right tournaments because, unfortunately, that's where scouts see you.
So, what is? I want to talk about travel ball too, but what really is the percentage, of high school students that actually can make it into Major League? I mean, I was doing some research before, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by the numbers. It said like 10 and 200, and I thought, gosh, well, that's a lot. Because usually you hear it's like 0.02% the population even becomes a professional athlete. But maybe with baseball, with the minor leagues as well, maybe they're factoring that in.
It's a long shot. I always remember the number of players drafted. I mean, first you got to get drafted, and then it's less than 20% of those guys make it to the majors. So it's got to be more of what you're saying about the .02. It's about, because think all the kids that are playing high school ball that, they're not getting drafted. So even once you get drafted, it's less than 20% of the guys are going to make it. So it's tough. And I know Coach has seen guys for 40-plus years. He can tell you. But, on my end, it's just it's hard.
Who are some of the players that you have coached that have made it into the pros?
Derek Bell played for us and went straight, signed out of Keene and made it to the big leagues. A young man named Calvin Pickering went straight from us to the big leagues. And Timmy Cruz, which is a sad story. He was in the prime of his career, was killed in a boating accident, but he played for us. And I had
our thoughts go out to
my first assistant coach, Carlos Tosca, who played summer ball for me, but then he coached with me for 2 years. He managed the Toronto Blue Jays years ago. So those are the main ones from Keene. Now, we've had other players before me. You're rolling your eyes. Before you, when was that?
14 years, but you've worked there for 50 years, right?
But, Jimmy Morrison played with the White Sox and the Phillies, but he was there before me. So before I forget, I wanted to add this too. All this that we've been talking about, you know what else is created, which is sad for high school young guys? Baseball year-round. I love it. Reggie loves it. You love it. But there's a place, and Reggie mentioned when he was in high school that he played some other sports. And their kids are having to make these decisions because they're told by college coaches, agents, hitting coaches, and you need to concentrate on baseball. And especially Florida, Georgia, where you get the good weather, down Miami, you play year around. One of my biggest problems I have is persuading parents, hey, shut him down at the end of the summer for a few weeks, because they'll go all summer till we come back to school. When they come back to school, we start our fall program and goes right into spring and back to summer.
It becomes a job. It becomes a job and kind of takes you away from your childhood.
No, it's a lot. The kids play a lot. It's funny hearing those names Coach brought up. I played against them, Cruz and Derek Bell. Played against with and against those guys. So it's brought back some memories. But it's tough. I mean, like we say, everything evolves. It changes. You know, we never thought of playing only one sport. Now you do see the commitment. I mean, I tend to try to represent guys that I think are getting drafted out of high school. And they're at tryouts today with pro scouts. They got tournaments this weekend, next weekend. Never stops for those high-end kids, but it's kind of just what it's evolved to. And then most of them love it, though.
Yeah,
they love it.
They do.
Yeah.
Well, can you believe that we're already out of time, which means I have to invite the two of you back on the record, or maybe our new show that's launching, The Lighter Side of Sports, to talk more baseball. And I have to say, before we close it out, personal thanks to Temple Terrace Mayor Andy Ross, who suggested Coach you on the show. And a very personal note here, my former intern, who's actually now a full-time employee, is Reggie's daughter, Janae. And I'm getting caught up because how serendipitous. Today is her actual first day on the job, and she brings her dad to work. Is that adorable?
That was the first thing I thought of. Bring your dad to work.
It is adorable. It is adorable. Hey, guys, on that note, if you would like to suggest a story, either personal, love, community, please let us know. You can just email us at info@sarinafazan.tv. We always welcome your recommendations for guests and topics. You can send your ideas again to that email. And then we also always so appreciate you sharing our positive stories on my social media platforms. And as you can see, we have all of them covered. We're also on Roku. It's a free channel, so please download it. Just search my name. And again, thank you, gentlemen, so much fun for being here. Did you have fun?
Oh, yeah.
It was a blast.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And again, on the record, you guys have got to come back on the show.
Do it.
Thanks, everybody. Until next time, have a great week and stay safe.